And a suspect has now been nabbed in the execution-style murders which turned a Bronx apartment virtually into a bloodbath. 18-year-old Dionisio Mojico was arrested last night in Buffalo. Police believe Mojico and another man are responsible for killing 4 people and wounding 3 others on Thursday night. The 4 dead were found lying face down with gunshot wounds to the head. Police don't think robbery was a motive because there was no forced entry and thousands of dollars in cash and drugs were found untouched.
And arrests have also been made in the shootings of 2 undercover cops in Brooklyn last night. The officers wounded while on patrol in a known drug area familiar with random violence. Frank Uciardo has more on this.
This was the scene last night on Crystal Street in the East New York section of Brooklyn. 2 gunmen had just fled into this apartment house after shooting and wounding 2 police officers. Police later arrested 16-year-old Taiwan Price and 20-year-old Chris Holland in connection with the shooting. Officers Todd Elson and Debbie Patchen were on routine anti-crime patrol here in this neighborhood. Police tell us that several of those apartment buildings back there are known cracked-in locations. As they were driving down the block, they noticed 2 men standing on the corner here. When they got out of their car to approach those men, the 2 men pulled semi-automatics and opened fire on the officers.
Police Officer Elson was shot once in the chest and once below the right knee. He was wearing his bulletproof vest, and the vest saved him from serious, perhaps fatal injury. Police Officer Patchen, who was also wearing a bulletproof vest, was shot once below the vest in the stomach.
Both officers were removed to Jamaica Hospital. Officer Patchen remains in serious condition, with her partner now reported to be in good condition. Police say there have been other shootings in this neighborhood, and area residents feel trapped and terrorized by the commonplace shootings.
I heard a bunch of shots going off, and then I just took my kids in one room and put them down low.
We have children here. We can't even send our kids to the store.
Suspects Taiwan Price and Chris Holland have been charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, assault, and possession of 2 9mm guns. In East New York, Frank Uciardo, Channel 11, News at 10.
And
kid because she may have thought he was a bully. Channel 2's David Diaz has the story for us. He's live in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. David?
Well, Dana, neighbors say that the woman who is charged with shooting the boy moved onto this block of Nostrand Avenue only a couple of months ago. Now, that would have made her 13-year-old boy the new kid on the block. Now, whatever other kids may have done to him or not, it turns out that a neighboring boy, 14 years of age, wound up becoming the victim, allegedly, of the first boy's mother's wrath.
He just said he don't know the woman. You know, she just come up to him. He was on his bike, and she just came up to him and she just shot him. You know.
Did she say anything to him? Did he remember?
She just said she's going to kill him.
The alleged woman in question, Joanne Jones, did not kill Jomi Thomas Butler, but she was arrested as she returned to her home this morning for the shooting of the 14-year-old boy Wednesday afternoon. Jones's alleged motive was to avenge the beating and robbing of her 13-year-old son by the head of a gang of young thugs who roamed this neighborhood preying on other teens. But neither the adults nor the teens we spoke to were aware of any such gang.
I've been around here. I've been over here 12 years. Never been that way with the kids, you know what I'm saying? Then things happen, but something like this degree, nah.
Nevertheless, could Jomi Butler have possibly beaten and robbed Joanne Jones's son? Taji Cameron knows Jomi and his twin brother Jomo quite well.
You think he could have possibly been beating and robbing that other woman's kid?
Nah, I doubt that. I doubt it.
The Butler's apartment is full of awards. Jomi and his 2 brothers have won for schoolwork and other activities. Jomi's mother is certain her boy could not have been the teenager Joanne Jones allegedly was after. And she's dumbfounded any mother could shoot a child.
I just can't believe it. I'm still in shock. I ain't get over it up to now. I just can't believe that, you know, a mother could do someone else's child like that. I just can't believe it. It's really, really sad.
It was a sentiment echoed by neighbors on the street below.
She's not supposed to take the law in her own hand. She's supposed to call the police. Yeah. And then the police take it from there.
Okay, well, Joanne Jones has been charged with assault and criminal possession of a weapon. Police say that the weapon has not been recovered, but they say a watch that belonged to her son has been recovered, but not, repeat, not from the boy who wound up being shot by Mrs. Jones, allegedly. Now, there's no word on where Jones's son is tonight. As for the boy who was shot, he is in good condition, expected to come out of the hospital fairly soon. Reporting live from Brooklyn, I'm David Diaz. Back to Tony and Dana.
Thanks, David.
All right, David. There was a stick-up today by a small gang of bandits who pistol-whipped a teenager and shot their guns into the air. But what makes this so unusual, it all happened on a city bus. In Queens, Channel 2's Deborah Quintana is live now with the story at the Jamaica Bus Depot. Deborah?
Tony, it first happened Saturday night and then again this morning at 8:30, right at the height of rush hour. The 3 teenage robbers got on that bus right there behind me. At both times, it happened on the same exact route, the same exact stop. It happened at a bus stop in Springfield Gardens. The 3 teenagers jumped on board the Q85. They were armed with a silver revolver and an automatic handgun. The bus depot manager showed us where the teens pumped 3 or 4 shots into the bus roof just to scare the passengers and to show how serious they were. If that wasn't enough, one of the teens pistol whipped a 17-year-old girl. In all, 22 passengers were on board. The robbers got away with $300 and jewelry. They fled on foot. The driver is okay, but pretty shook up, to say the least.
She was taking it very calmly. She's a little nervous, but she'll bounce back. She's a professional.
Other drivers say getting robbed is always on the back of their minds.
I mean, it's not like, okay, today it could happen, today, no, but, you know, it could. It's a thought. And, you know, you keep it there and you hope that you can handle the situation when it comes up, but you never know.
This is the 3rd time in 2 weeks that a bus has been commandeered by robbers. Just last week, passengers on a privately chartered minibus en route to Providence, Rhode Island, were robbed and injured. It happened when the minibus reached the Bronx. 3 passengers abruptly stood up, robbed the other passengers, and pistol whipped one of them. Sure, if the Queens bus robberies are connected with that one in the Bronx, but they are looking into it. The robbers were not able to get away with the collection box, however. The stop that it happened at, that they boarded at, was at 104th and Edgewood, and you can bet the police will be keeping a special eye on that bus stop in Springfield Gardens, Queens. I'm in Jamaica, Queens, at the bus depot. I'm Deborah Quintana reporting live. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Deborah.
Good evening. I'm Bill Butel. There was no escape possible when a gunman ambushed a woman and her 2 children, caught them alone in an elevator in a housing project in Harlem. Cut off from the hundreds of families around them, the woman gave up her money and then the gunman pulled the trigger. With the story, Jim Dolan live at Harlem Hospital, where Juanita Ramsey is recovering from the attack. Jim?
Bill, this is the kind of story that stays with you. You can't shake it no matter how you try. There is here in Harlem Hospital tonight a 6-month-old baby who was shot in the face today by a mugger who had already gotten what he came for, but shot the child and her mother anyway. The last thing Juanita Ramsey was looking for this morning when she visited a relative in Harlem was trouble. But trouble sought Juanita Ramsey out. Ramsey walked with her 2 young children into this Harlem public housing building, and as she walked into the elevator, she was followed by a man in his 20s. At first he was pleasant, even commenting on her 2 young children, but then he changed. He pulled out a gun and demanded money, and Mrs. Ramsey complied. She handed over her purse, saying, "Please, just don't hurt us." But he didn't listen. Instead, he fired inside that small elevator at the woman who carried in her arms a 6-month-old baby.
The shot goes through the left cheek of the 6-month-old child, enters the right chest of the mother.
George Chavez found Ramsey and her 2 children in the elevator and called 911.
From what I gather, she gave him the purse. What was the sense of shooting her behind that?
The suspect is described as a male black in his early 20s, between 5'6" and 5 feet 7 inches tall, about 150 pounds, with muscular arms. He was wearing a green tank top and green shorts late this morning. Police are counting on the outrage of the community to help catch him.
I think the community also feels very bad that a crime like this could happen. How much worse can it get with a mother carrying an infant where somebody takes a shot at her?
It surprises me, but in where we live at now, no, it don't surprise me because it's just hot, and basically people don't know how to act now.
Mother and infant child are in stable condition here at Harlem Hospital. The bullet came to rest in the mother's lower back, too close apparently to her liver to be removed just yet safely. The 2-year-old child, traumatized by witnessing this shooting, is with his dad tonight. The father tells us a short while ago he is sleeping. Everyone connected to this case just shocked at a brand of senseless violence that could claim as one of its victims a 6-month-old baby. Reporting live from Harlem Hospital, Jim Dolan, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Jim, bullets were also flying in the South Bronx late this afternoon during a bloody and deadly shootout. Dozens of police officers descended on the scene in front of a bodega on 161st Street trying to bring things under control. Detectives say a motorcyclist got into an argument with another man when gunfire erupted. 5 people were hit with bullets, including the motorcyclist, 22-year-old Jose Rivera. He died at the hospital. So far, there are no arrests. And pain and grief on the Upper West Side tonight. A livery car mowed down and killed a 5-year-old girl, and then police say the driver sped away. Eyewitnesses say little Taima McCullough was crossing 140th Street with her mother, and the car ran her down. The young victim's babysitter says there's no doubt Taima was crossing the street properly.
I'm telling you, she's so smart. She knows things like she's a big girl. Yes, she take care, you know, when she's going to cross, she tells you by herself that you're not supposed to cross at that because that's dangerous.
Police say they found the driver, 23-year-old Pedro Reynosa, on the Upper East Side and arrested him. He's charged with felony hit and run. Bill?
Tonight, Joel Rifkin gets ready for his day in court. Rifkin, as you know, I suspect, is the admitted serial killer who is suspected of 18 murders. And Thursday, he's going to be arraigned on 2 counts of murder. Investigators say they found a copy of the Search for the Green River Killer in Rifkin's bedroom on Long Island. That book chronicles the serial murders of 49 women in and around Seattle. Also found in his bedroom was another book called Women and Love, Women's Underwear, and a brown wallet that belonged to Jenny Soto, one of the women said to be his victim.
Good evening. One of New York's bravest finds himself accused tonight of a bizarre and dangerous act. James LaFotta is a lieutenant in the city's fire department, but police say this man, who usually fights fires, was actually starting one last night. Kyung Yoon reports.
49-year-old Fire Lieutenant James LaFotta is under arrest, charged with a crime that he is supposed to be fighting. LaFotta is accused of arson after he allegedly set a fire Friday night at the Edkins Auto Parts yard in Staten Island.
He apparently stacked up a few tires and then poured oil or gas or something on top of them to ignite them.
Police say 2 uniformed officers happened to be driving by here last night when they saw flames shooting out from behind the fence. When they pulled their van into the driveway, that's when witnesses say LaFotta made a desperate attempt to flee the scene.
He jumped in the car and backed up all the way towards the water over there. And then they were standing in front of the van, and they pulled their guns to try to get him to stop. He shot past them and went off the curb off there and went up the street about a mile up where they caught him.
Police say LaFotta made statements implicating himself in setting the fire. The motive for the arson is not known.
Why would you risk a career for such foolishness? I just don't understand why somebody with all that time on a job that was, so prestigious would do something like this.
You think that he had a personal vendetta against the...
No, not at all. He's not a familiar customer of ours, and I really don't know him from the neighborhood.
LaFotta's mother-in-law told Fox News that her daughter separated from LaFotta 2 years ago after 25 years of marriage.
I thought he was a great guy. I don't know. I can't tell you. I can't tell you anything. I don't know. I haven't seen him in 2 years. Over 2 years. I don't know.
Do you think that maybe the separation, this might have gotten...
Who knows? I can't tell you.
LaFotta remains in police custody while continuing to undergo medical and psychiatric tests. On Staten Island, Kyung Yoon, Fox News.
A Bronx man is charged with trying to run down 2 Manhattan firefighters. Apparently, Isaias Maranta didn't like the firemen ticketing his car, which was in front of a hydrant near their firehouse. The firemen got out of the way, and when Maranta came back to argue, they had him arrested. A rookie cop finds himself on the wrong side of the law. Police say Officer Fabian Lorenzo of the 9th Precinct was part of a gang that's been stealing cash and cocaine from drug dealers. 3 other people were also arrested. There has been a mass murder inside a fast food restaurant outside Chicago. Al Waters reports.
Police found 7 people all shot to death near the rear of the Brown's Chicken in Palatine. 4 of the dead have been identified as teenagers, 3 as adults, including co-owners Dick and Lynn Eilenfeld. Authorities believe the killings took place shortly after closing at 9 p.m. last night. They suspect the motive was robbery.
There is no security.
Jason Georgie knows he might have been one of the victims of that carnage, except the owners let him have the night off for personal reasons. And the 17-year-old says in this neighborhood, no one was ever concerned about safety.
So it would have been pretty easy for anybody to get in here then? Oh, very. All you had to do is open up that door, and there's the safe and everything else right there, and all the employees that are counting down the money. They're all right inside that door.
Other co-workers were shocked and grief-stricken.
I mean, I just thank the Lord that it wasn't me that this happened to.
I came to see if maybe I can talk to some of them or see if there's any way I can help them.
Tonight, police have a suspect in custody identified only as a man in his 20s who lives in this house in Elgin. A neighbor recalls how detectives made the arrest.
He opened up the hood on a Bronco that he had parked in the driveway, and they merged on him with about 4 or 5 unmarked squad cars, and then drew guns on him and told him to freeze, and then proceeded the arrest process.
The suspect is now being questioned. Police are still looking for a weapon. Alf Waters, Fox News, Palatine.
Good evening, I'm Lou Young, in tonight for Ralph Penza. They found the bodies off the end of a pier on the Brooklyn waterfront, a woman and 2 children, but tonight police don't know who they are or why they were murdered. Stephanie Shelton has more on this grisly mystery.
Police say all 3 victims were found here at the foot of J Street in an area of deserted warehouses and abandoned factories. Each was shot several times, then wrapped in blankets or bedding, apparently brought here by vehicle and dumped. A passerby walking a dog found the bodies around 8:40 this morning.
An attempt was made to throw each body into the river. Now, 2 of the individuals actually did make it into the river, and 1 individual ended up on the embankment.
We saw a 4 to 7-year-old female child, unclad, floating freestyle in the water. It actually looked like a mannequin. We saw a 17 to 20-year-old teenager face down, stuck in the pilings.
The youngest child, a girl, was wearing a nightshirt. The boy, actually 10 to 12 years old, white shorts as well as socks, and on the ground, a woman 35 to 40, in a black jacket, white sleeveless blouse, and floral skirt. Her feet were bound with phone wire. All 3 were Hispanic.
The older victim, the female Hispanic, was wearing a wedding band and an engagement ring on her left hand, and on her right hand she had a ring consisting of a row of red stones, a row of diamonds, and a row of green stones.
Police have no idea who the victims are or if they are related, but they apparently were killed at another location, perhaps their home, sometime after midnight.
Each victim was shot at least 3 times, and 2 of the victims were also victims of headshots.
Police say at this point it's just speculation, but the 3 bodies have all the earmarks of a drug hit. They're asking anyone with any information to contact the 84th Precinct. Stephanie Shelton, News 4, Brooklyn Heights.
Well, it's happened again. An Upper East Side couple has been arrested for allegedly leaving their 2-year-old child home alone last night while they went out drinking. Renko and Jesse Hemnes were apparently turned in by a neighbor who reported this latest home alone incident to police. The couple allegedly left their young daughter in their East 94th Street apartment so they could hang out at a local bar. They were booked at the 19th Precinct in Manhattan. The little girl is now in the custody of child welfare officials.
John, the family of a man run over by an Amtrak train denies it was a suicide. But that is what the railroad says, and they say he took a 3-year-old girl along with him on his death trip. Mario Bosquez reports from New Jersey.
Police say the Washington to New York train was going about 90 miles an hour when the engineers spotted 2 people on the tracks, 21-year-old Gualberto Rodriguez and 3-year-old Vanessa Rodriguez, no relation. They were killed on impact. Police are trying to determine if it was an accident or murder-suicide. Family members say Rodriguez was taking the child home from where her father worked to this Elizabeth, New Jersey apartment building last night. That's where little Vanessa lived with her mother and brother. Rodriguez has been described as a familiar face.
He's just a close friend.
While police check out theories surrounding this tragic case, Gualberto's family completely discounts the notion of a murder-suicide.
He wouldn't kill himself, I know that. He said it, but he won't do it because, you know, because he cares about his family, so I don't know why he's going to do that for.
But according to Amtrak, the engineer saw both persons on the track. He blew the whistle as he approached. It is not an official pedestrian crossing. Meanwhile, Amtrak continues to investigate. Neighbors say Vanessa's mother has not been seen since the accident.
Last night about 7 o'clock, they started screaming and yelling, some type of commotion, and then the lady ran into a cab with a whole bunch of friends.
Newark police are weighing both possibilities of a murder-suicide or an accident, since they say the area is a common shortcut for pedestrians. They did confirm that Vanessa's family knew she was with Rodriguez at the time, but a neighbor cast some doubt on that.
She just said, I don't know why he took my little girl. Why it have to be my little girl?
Why murder a little girl and take her life?
So he won't do nothing like that.
Mario Bosques, Fox News.
A 4-year-old Bronx girl could not escape danger, even in her own bedroom. She was shot while she was sleeping. Police arrested Walter Vincennes, her upstairs neighbor. He says he thought he heard a prowler and took his gun to investigate. It accidentally went off, with the bullet going through the floor and hitting the little girl, fortunately only in the leg. She's going to be okay. Vincennes was charged with criminal possession of a weapon. A major drug bust in the city had police showing off the goods. They arrested 36 people and confiscated more than 70 million drug-related items. There was so much stuff, it could not all fit in one room. The overload had to be stored in military trucks. The police also found cash, drugs, a gun, an assortment of knives, and brass knuckles.
Thomas Gambino is happy with the sentence he got today, 5 years in prison. He could have gotten 40. And he's out on bail while his lawyers take another crack at his defense. Last May, he was found guilty of loan sharking and running his family's gambling racket in Connecticut. He didn't have much to say outside the courthouse.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, I thank my lawyers for a great job they did. Thank you.
One of his lawyers is Gerald Shargell. He was kicked off John Gotti's case because a judge ruled he was intimately involved in mob business. The man who wants to be executed is coming to New York instead. Thomas Grasso. He murdered a woman in Oklahoma, asked for the death penalty, got it, but Governor Cuomo fought to have him return to New York to serve 20 years for murdering a man on Staten Island. For some reason, they're driving him here from Oklahoma.
Michael Jackson's Dangerous Tour is in danger of being cut short. This because of the civil lawsuit filed against him by the family of a 13-year-old boy who claims that Jackson molested him. 2 British newspapers say the boy's attorneys want Jackson back in L.A. by Monday, or they may get a court order for his return. Jackson denies all the accusations against him. He currently is performing in Mexico.
And still ahead.
New questions tonight about a fatal accident that killed a motorcyclist in Washington Heights last week and just how it happened. The mother of 20-year-old Alfredo Soto was overcome with grief at his funeral today. Earlier reports said Soto died when a police car hit him head-on. But tonight, witnesses quoted in a new police report tell a different story. Here's what the police report has to say. It says Soto's motorcycle went around a cab, went down, then slid into the police radio car. The rider went down, striking his head on the pavement. The victim had abrasions that were caused by the roadway. Soto's death sparked a firebomb attack on 2 firefighters. Tonight, Mayor Dinkins spoke about the incident on a local radio talk show.
To turn on them, it makes no sense whatever. And we're determined to see to it, the police commissioner and I, that adequate security is provided for our firefighters.
The 2 firefighters remain hospitalized.
In Washington Heights tonight, a march for peace. It comes after a week after a motorcyclist was killed in a crash with a police car and the apparent revenge attack on a fire truck that followed. Channel 2's Lisa Councilman joins us with details. Lisa?
Dana and Ernie, the 2 firefighters that were attacked remain hospitalized tonight, both in stable condition. The neighborhood where it happened is stable too, after a call for calm and a call for justice.
1 week after the streets erupted in violence, the people of Washington Heights took to the streets calling for peace. Most of all, these people wanted firefighters to know how bad they felt about the attack on a fire truck that left 2 firemen critically burned.
I gotta go and apologize to them.
Leading the group, Sandra Soto, who lost her son in last week's motorcycle crash with a police car. It was that tragedy that sparked the violence the following night. Tonight, Mrs. Soto took her message of peace along with some flowers right to Engine Company 93.
George and Tom are 2 very good firefighters. They don't blame anybody in the community.
George Krusher and Thomas Brannigan were responding to a report of a gas leak when someone tossed a Molotov cocktail, a bottle with gasoline, into their truck.
We were instantly engulfed in flames, and me and Tommy had to scramble off the rig while the rig was moving. At that point, we really didn't care whether the rig was stopped or not. We had to get out. We were burning alive.
As Krusher and Brannigan have endured the pain of 2nd and 3rd degree burns, the community they serve has been tense. Police are still looking for Jesus Corporan, whom they believe threw the firebomb.
Well, the purpose of this demonstration is to denounce violence, especially violence against anyone in uniform. There are still many members of this community who do not accept the official police explanation for what happened here 1 week ago.
Police say Soto had no motorcycle license. It had been suspended 72 times. They say he rammed into an oncoming patrol car while trying to pass another vehicle.
He was assassinated.
the police couldn't prevent it.
We feel very bad for what happened to the fireman, but my brother was also human. He had blood inside his veins, just like the firemen do.
About 150 people showed up for the rally tonight. Firefighters say they appreciated the gesture of support, but they want justice as well, the arrest and conviction of the person responsible for the firebomb. And Ernie and Dana, the police believe they know who that is.
All right. Lisa, thank you.